Welcome to today's class, Advanced EIA. Last 2 weeks, we were able to look at pollution, air pollution, and of course, water pollution. So today we'll be looking at noise pollution. Noise pollution, and in today's class, we'll be looking at what noise pollution is, the causes of noise pollution, the effect of noise pollution, and what we can begin to do to cushion the effect of noise pollution. Now, when we're looking at the effect of noise pollution, we'll look at it basically. The effect of noise pollution is more on human health than it is for the environment. But yet, we still cannot rule out the environmental effects of noise pollution. Okay, so we're going to also be looking at that. Hopefully, by the end of today's class, we'll be able to understand fully noise pollution and its effect, and then what we can do. So basically, noise pollution, as we all know, has to do with any sound, a sound that is beyond, that causes nuisance. Okay, any noise or sound that causes nuisance to the hearer, that is inconveniencing to the hearer, that can actually be referred to as a noise. Okay, we all know that in a normal life we need noise for communication, as in especially when it's within the limits, for communication, for entertainment. Animals, you also hear sounds from animals, from our working tools, equipment, and machines, and the rest of them. These are the various things that produces sound within the environment. Okay, but there's a limit to that noise that is being produced. As soon as that noise becomes inconveniencing, becomes disturbing to the hearer, okay, it has now moved from just an ordinary sound to noise. So whether a given sound is as pleasant as a music or as unpleasant as noise depends on its loudness, its duration, the rhythm, and of course the mood of the person. Now let me explain that so you understand it. I said whether the given sound is pleasant, okay, or unpleasant depends on these factors. Number one is loudness. When it becomes too loud, it becomes unpleasing. But when it's not loud, it is pleasing to the hearer. Number two is duration. There are some persons that after a particular period of time, it begins to affect them. They begin to have problem with that thing that we're listening to previously, that wasn't a problem. So when it sees that particular time limit, it becomes uncomfortable, or it becomes inconveniencing for them. Then of course the rhythm of the sound, okay, it's also another one. Is it too fast? Is it too slow? Is it up, down, fast, like that, like that, like that? The rhythm of the sound too can also make it unpleasant. Okay, and of course the mood of the person. Somebody who is angry and just need quietness, no matter how low the sound is, it becomes unpleasant. You just can't just off that thing. I need to sleep. Maybe somebody that wants to sleep or something, or somebody that is reading. So these are some of the factors that actually measures if the sound has turned to a noise or not. So that's what that second line is simply trying to tell us. Okay, now noise is a physical form of pollution, because we know that we're looking at pollution. It's actually a physical form of pollution and is directly harmful, okay, to the life supporting system, okay, which we're also going to be looking at. Okay, now even though noise pollution is not fatal to human life, yet its importance cannot be overlooked, because repeated exposure to noise reduces the sleeping hours. Imagine if it can cause headache, it can disturb your rhythm of your sleep, and a lot of things. Okay, even if it's proven that it's not fatal. But recent researches have also shown that if the noise level is not controlled, okay, it can actually cause a serious problem to the tympanic membrane of the ear, okay, which can actually lead to a life-threatening situation, okay. Sometimes it also affect your brain and the rest of them, which you're also going to be looking at. So basically, that's just more or less like introducing what noise is. So basically, like I've defined what noise is, I said anything that any sound that is unpleasant, that is inconveniencing to the hearer, that is noise. But according to this definition, we could say that noise pollution is generally defined as irregular exposure to elevated sound level. Okay, when you are exposed to elevated sound level, that is noise. Okay, sorry. Okay, so that's basically what noise is. And then the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, US, defines noise pollution as any unwanted or disturbing sound, okay, that reduces quality of life or disrupts your daily activities. So those are some of the definitions of noise pollution. Okay, let's proceed. Now let's look at some statistics, okay, that have been published over time about noise. Now in 2014, a report was published by the Nigerian Institute of Health, not Nigerian Institute of Health, now US, revealed that tens of millions of Americans suffer from health issues, heart disease, disturbed sleep, increased blood pressure, hearing loss, and more because of noise exposure. Okay, that's a statistics that was released by National Institute of Health, that Americans, almost tens of millions of Americans, suffer those issues because they've exposed themselves to a high level of noise. Now, noise is invisible pollutant that affects our breathing, brain waves, and well-being. Okay, it can be very silent, but yet it causes a whole lot of issues. That's why so many persons don't pay attention to. We don't think it's a serious matter. They don't think it's a serious matter. It's something that we need to really pay attention to. But just like we said, it's an invisible pollutant and it affects everything. Okay, especially life. Okay, so how many decibels is too loud? Okay, for noise. How many decibel is too loud? According to the World Health Organization, sound levels less than 70 decibel is not damaging to living organisms at all. Okay, if it's less than, it's okay, as long as they also precautionary measures you can also adopt in such an environment. Okay, but once it exceeds 70, it becomes a very big problem. Now, even if you're also within the limit of your noise level, constant and continuous exposure to that can also disrupt your hearing system, can also cause a lot of problem. Okay, so don't say okay, 70, yeah, some say you see 78 decibel. Okay, since the noise level is not above it, too much of everything is bad. That you're within a noise limit of 50 or 60 or 40 doesn't mean you should continuously expose yourself. I'm going to show us a table as we proceed in this class to show you, you know, the different noise level and the number of hours or the period of hours you're expected to spend in that particular um, region, now that noise environment. Okay, otherwise, if you spend more than that, you're exposing yourself to a lot of harm and the rest of them. Okay, now exposure for more than 8 hours to constant noise beyond 85 decibel may be hazardous. If you walk for 8 hours daily in close proximity to a busy road or highway, you're very likely to be exposed to traffic, which also causes noise pollution of around 85 decibel. So imagine these traffic wardens. It's even annoying and appalling that our traffic officers, they don't even have one single PPE, like an earmuff or earplug that can help them, and yet they expose themselves 8 hours on a daily basis. And just like what we've seen, you can see that on the traffic, the noise can rise to as much as 85 decibel. Because you have the trucks, the the both the low duty vehicle and the medium and the high duty vehicle, those things, all bringing the noise together to cause a whole lot of nuisance. And now these people are now exposed themselves constantly to such. It has a very big risk on them. Okay, so how many decibels is too loud? How many decibel is too loud? Okay, decibel is actually what we use in measuring sound intensity or the sound level. Okay, once, like I told you, 70 is the limit. Anything beyond 70, 78, 80 like that becomes dangerous. Okay, if you're exposed at a level 120 decibel, no matter how short it is, you're already exposed to damage, because 120 is quite very, very, very high. Okay, so the limit you can at least expose yourself is 70 and below. Okay, and even like I said, 70 and below, we still need to watch the number of hours that we still spend in this particular noise level. For anything above 70 becomes a serious health issues to us. Okay, so you have some that will tell you, okay, 78, some will say 85, but 70, okay, should be the minimum, the maximum, sorry. And that should be done with an earplug or earmuff, and then reduced um, period of exposure or hour of exposure. Okay, now let's look at sound score. Many of us may not be aware of this, but it is interesting to know that when somebody whisper, a nearby whispering produces about 30 decibel. Surprised at that? Your refrigerator at home, when it's on, produces about 40 decibel. Your air conditioner produces about 60 decibel. And we say, but this noise, the sound from all these things you just mentioned, they are so low that I cannot even hear them. That's why we said it's a hidden pollutant in the environment. You don't get to notice it, you don't get to see it. Sometimes you don't even get to hear it. Surprise, right? Let's look at others. A lawn mower produces about 80 decibel to 85 decibel of sound. A train, approaching train, produces about 100 decibel. An ambulance, okay, the siren from an ambulance can produce up to 120 decibel. Now, these are the things that we expose ourselves in the environment on a daily basis. So imagine continuous or consistent exposure to all this. You should know you know, the extent to which this thing could affect you if you continuously expose yourself to it. Now look at this now, common indoor and outdoor noise level. I don't know if you can see very well. Now there's a measurement between, the sound level is between 0 to 140 decibel, the one you have at the middle. So it's like a ruler now that I have, 0 to 140 decibel. Now let's start for point 0. Okay, threshold of hearing when you whisper, like we told you, somebody whispers into your ear, is between 0 to 30, 0 to 20 decibel. That's if the person is whispering into your ear. Then if it's a whisper around you, can rise to like 30. Okay, then the noise you hear from the bedroom, probably library, produces about 30 to 40 decibel. You know why? Everywhere is quiet, so by the time you talk and that measurement is taken, it can rise to 30, 40. Then you have a dishwasher, okay, producing about between 50 and 60. You have the vacuum cleaner producing about 70, the garbage disposal about 80, food blender, those are your blending machines and the rest of them, you're having like 90. Okay, now same goes for, in a rural night time, 0 to 20 decibel is being produced. Urban nighttime can produce up to 40. And then by the time you had the heavy traffic, is rising to 60. And they have cars, okay, moving like that. It rises to like 90. And then before you know it, the aeroplane that you hear can rise from 120 like that up to 140. So these are the various measurements as far as noise level is concerned with the things that we find in the environment that we expose ourselves in the environment. A rock band, maybe you will go for a show. The noise from that place can rise to between a 110 to 140, 130, 40. You go for a show, you went for a club, you go clubbing, and you know these places, clubs, party, party areas, these are places that they have to tune the sound so high, and that can rise up to about 140 degrees, 140 decibel, sorry. So those are the common indoor and outdoor noise levels that we have. Okay. So what are the sources of this noise pollution? Let's quickly look at the sources of noise pollution. We have industrial sources, we have transport vehicles, we have household, we have public address systems, we have agricultural machines, we have defense equipment. There are so many, so many. But these are the most common sources of noise pollution. Industrial sources, it's either from the generator, the heavy duty vehicle, okay, the noise from the plants and all the machines and equipment, cars that are driving in and driving out, and so on and so forth. The equipment used in production process, all those things contribute as one of the sources of pollution. That's why when you stay in an industrialized area, it's very, very easy, okay, for you to hear such noises. Like in Lagos, if you stay in Lagos, practically every part of Lagos has one or two industry, and you hear the noise coming from there. Transport vehicles, okay, not just vehicle as we have, that also includes both the road transport, the air transport, and the water transport. If you live close to the airport, trust me, my uncle stays in airport road, very close to the international airport. Both the local flights and the international flights must pass through, must hear the noise as it's passing through. And before it passes through, the fast signal is lost for close to 15 to 30 seconds until it's out before everything can go back to normal, because it affects the waves generally, not just sound wave, uh, electromagnetic wave, and the rest of them. So what I'm trying to say is that transport vehicles, okay, is also another source of noise pollution. Public address systems, okay, from churches, from mosque. Those who live in Lagos should know that that's the first thing that wakes you up in the morning cry, from churches, and then of course from mosque. Okay, public address system. Also in occasions and the rest of them, they keep a public address system and it's so loud. Agricultural machines, tractors, bulldozers, you know, all those things, all those agricultural equipments, especially those who are practicing mechanized system of agriculture. Okay, that's also it. Other defense equipment. Okay, from nuclear sites, gunshots. You swear we live close to um, a military cantonment or a military training site. You know, part of the drill is using all those stuffs, so it can also come from there. Right, so those are some of the sources. Then we have miscellaneous sources like the automobile repair shop construction, okay, in a construction site, in a mechanic workshop, because when he's done repairing the car, he has to try it up to see whether it's working, and then adds to the noise. In the construction site, bulldozing, blasting, stone crushing, all these are sources of noise pollution. Street traffic. Street traffic sounds from cars, buses, pedestrians, ambulances, airports with constant elevated sounds from air traffic, planes taking off or landing, workplace sounds, often common in open space offices, constant loud music in or near commercial venues, train stations, traffic, events involving fireworks, firecrackers, loudspeakers, conflicts generate noise pollution too. When two persons are quarreling, their voice can be so loud that everybody gets to hear it. All this causes a serious dysfunction. Those are other sources of noise pollution. You can list as many as possible. You can list as many as possible because this is something that we are used to or that plays around us. Okay, so that's that for the sources. Now let's look at the level of exposure. Let me see if I can maximize my screen so that I can see it boldly for those using phone. A level of exposure. So you have the sound level, we have the maximum hour of exposure. So meaning you're expected not to go beyond this particular period. Okay, you expect not to go beyond this particular period. If, for example, 90 decibel, for example, your maximum hour of exposure is 8 hours. Sound level between 1 to 90 decibel. Okay, your sound level should not be more than 8 hours. Then if you're exposed to 92 decibel, your sound level should, so the higher your sound level, the higher the level the sound level, the lower your hour of exposure. So as it's increasing, as the distance is increasing, you have to reduce your hour of exposure. So if you're operating a 95 decibel, okay, sound environment, you should not spend more than 4 hours. Okay, 100 decibel, just like that, so you could see it. So the higher the sound level, the lower the hour of exposure. Okay, so we can actually understand this. So, and it's very, very important that wherever you're working, it's good that once in a while you get to find out, is one of the safety practices, okay, that can actually do, find out the level of exposure, okay, of your workplace, so that you see if it tallies with the maximum hour of exposure. Okay, so that's that. So noise pollution level and its harmful effect. Sound level between 1 to 23, up to 23, no disturbance. 23 decibel, no disturbance. Between 30 and 60, it causes stress, causes tension, psychological disorders. Okay, that is if the brain, this thing starts causing, no, talking about stress, that the noise begins to stress you out. It causes tension. You start feeling some psychological effects. This restlessness, imbalance, constant anger, and stuff like that. Those are the things you feel. Then from 60 to 90, it starts causing damages, okay, to your health. We see that it's connected to, okay, some kind of disorder, some disturbances you feel, high blood pressure, disturbance in sleeping, as you expose yourself between 60 to 90. And then from 60 to 120, that's in fact a defect, especially ear diseases and the rest of them. And then above 120, painful effects in long run. That can lead to total deafness, okay, which will stay with you for a very, 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 very long time. So those are the noise level, just like we have it, and of course the harmful effects. So let's look at the effect of noise pollution. Basically, we can classify that into under four um, effects. We have the physical effect, we have the physiological effect, we have the psychological effect on human, and of course, like I told you, we cannot rule out the effect on wildlife and marine life. So quickly in the next 9 minutes, let's just run through them. Physical effects. We said the physical manifestation of noise pollution is a fact that it causes hearing ability. And of course, repeated exposure to this may result to temporary or permanent shifting as far as the hearing threshold of the person is concerned. Okay, and this can can cause immediate and acute effect, okay, to hearing. Okay, so the person is impaired, and continuous, like I said, continuous exposure to those kind of sound, high noise level can cause total deafness. So physical effect is the fact that it causes ear impairment and then can lead to total deafness of the person if you keep exposing yourself to this high level of noise. Then that's the physical effect. Then this physiological effect, headache by dilating blood vessels of the brain. So it causes noise, causes headache. Okay. Increase in the rate of your heartbeat. That's true. Okay. Noise. These are physiological effects. Narrowing of your arteries, fluctuations in the arterial blood pressure by increasing the level of cholesterol in the blood. Imagine if you have some kind of other ailments, you're diabetic, you know, that can seriously cause a whole lot of issues. Now, decrease in heart output, and of course, pain in the heart. These are physiological effects that you feel, okay, from exposure to sound, okay. Digestive spasm, that's anxiety and dilation of the pupil of the eye, thereby causing eye strain. You feel it once you expose yourself, your eye will still start paining you. Why? It has affected, your pupil. Your pupil will just dilate and start paining you. Impairment of night vision, decrease in the rate of color perception, lowering of concentration and effect on memory. So it causes loss of memory, leads to loss of memory, muscular strain and nervous breakdown, psychological effect. Okay. Now these are some of the physical effects that you feel. Okay. And of course, the psychological effect is the fact that it causes depression and fatigue, insomnia. Okay. You're not able to sleep. Okay. Straining of the senses and annoyance as a result of slow but persistent noise from motorcycles. Okay. Affecting your psychomotor performance. You're distracted, you cannot read, you cannot, emotional disturbance. Sometimes it leads to anger, to anxiety, to some, let's say we start quarreling and fighting with the person. These are psychological effects of noise. Okay. Now look at the noise. Now can actually, we have the noise hazard and we have the non-hazard. Okay. So you have the permanent hearing loss, neurological, humoral stress response, destruction of the artifacts. Those ones are when it becomes too much. Okay. So that's just as we've actually seen it in those effects. I'm trying to run out because of my time. I have 5 minutes to go. So those are the effects as far as the physical, the physiological, except maybe for those trains that have to go through the course of all those that it produces, but it's
Ocean
more on
line.
ocean liners, those speedboats, cargo boats, and the rest of them. It disturbs aquatic life. Sometimes it distorts the what they call now the receptor muscles. Okay, so they don't even know when to feed because you disturb the nerves that disturb their feeding. They don't even great. Okay, some goes into their hole, others have to move. It's quite
from that
enormous.
place in. So, but
How
it's
do you
quite
now
enormous.
prevent? Okay, it's quite. How do you prevent noise pollution? Finally, before we round up, how do you prevent noise pollution? Exposure number one: boost insulation in your home. Okay, so use pad, something like pad, something that will like an insulation, so that those things can attract, can hold back the noise. They can trap the noise inside. So if you can do that, that would be nice. Always look for quiet place or quiet products to buy. We always say one of the ways you can also reduce noise pollution is replace doesn't really produce much of the sound, but yes, it still does. But look for quiet product that has little or no noise. Time you look at the sound level from that table I showed you, number of hours of use. In fact, your phone will always alert you once it avoid drops to regular exposure to elevated sound levels. Okay, so those are some of the things. Those are some of the things that we can do. The other things that we can also do to avoid noise pollution. But what we're trying to say is that be conscious of how much you're being exposed to this sound level. Okay, always wear your ear muff or ear plug, reduce your number of your hour of exposure, and always seek to find out your sound level. If by any means you're feeling any effect in your hearing ability, quickly see your medical doctor or your ear doctor, okay, to ascertain what the problem is and actually tell you what to do about it. All right. So that's all for noise pollution. The what noise pollution is, the statistics, causes, effect, and of course solution. We'll be ending this class today. By next week, we'll look at waste management, and I think that will be the end of the class. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next week.